What's up, it's Stress-Free, back again with another Diablo 4 video. Here we're going to take a look at the patch info, primarily Sorc Buffs and other class changes. We also have buffs to witch powers that we're going to go over. In the same patch, we're getting a Goblin event with brand new variants of Goblins. And towards the end, we're going to take a look why we're not going to see a loot filter. We're also going to go over Season 8 delays and PTR Campfire, along with Diablo 4 expansion and 2025 roadmap. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Diablo 4 news. Now let's get into the details. Now let's take a look at the buffs coming to the Witchcraft powers. The first one we have is Grow. Damage per increased from 1% to 2.5%. Maximum increase from 45% to 75%. Next is Doom Orb. Damage bonus on kills and boss damage increased from 5% to 8%. Maximum damage increased from 100% to 160%. Fire Bat servings, damage increased from 20% to 40% per hit. Wave of Woe, bounce damage increased from 15% to 25%. Exit Flames, damage increased from 40% to 60%. And Poison Frog Certain, poison damage total increased from 40% to 90% per rank. Explosion damage total increased from 50% to 150% per rank. Overall, some solid buffs, definitely for Grow, which is gonna help out the summon sorcs. Next, let's take a look at the Druid changes coming in the patch. One of them is for Wax and Gibbous. And the inherent additive critical strike damage replaced with 50% chance for Shred to deal double damage. And changes to one of the aspect of Wolf's Reign was changed hurricane damage per wolf increased from 5 to 15% to 15 to 25%. Next, we got the changes to Rogue versus Assassin's Stride. Shadow Mutant potency increased from 40 to 80% to 60 to 120%. Next, some solid changes to the Sorcerers, skills and passives. First, Ball Lightning, damage increased from 24% to 30%. Next, we have some passives. Glass Cannon, damage increased from 6, 12, 18% to 8, 16, and 24%. Here's Mastery, chance of your shock skills to rock to another enemy increased from 10 to 15%. And next we got Eos Ferocity, fire critical strike damage increased from 50% to 75%. Fire critical chance increased from 10% to 40%. Interesting buffs over here, mainly to Glass Cannon. It's gonna be a big increase. Also, Here's Mastery still kind of weak. 5% is basically nothing. Nobody uses that one. And for Fireball and like fire builds, Eos Ferocity looks pretty interesting. We got a major buff to increase critical strike damage, going up by 25%, and a huge critical strike chance from 10 to 40%. As for the items, we got Axial's Conduit. Now explosions scale with chain lightning ranks. We got the new focus, Akun's Catalyst. The Scenic power has been rewarded for clarity. Previous was Ball Lightning Orbits. You create a static field that damages all enemies within 440 to 180 of the ball lightning damage per active ball. You are unhindered as long as the field is active. Now cast a lightning ball instead creates a separate static field around you that damages all enemies within 440 to 180% ball lightning damage per active ball. You are unhindered as long as the field is active. Next, I have changes to Strike of Stormhorn. Damage increased from 160 to 200% to 175 to 225%. Now scales with the ranks of Ball Lightning. The unique power has been rewarded for clarity. Previous Ball Lightning splashes on impact for 160 to 200% increased damage. Ball Lightning splash on impact dealing 175 to 225 of its total damage instantly. Some solid changes here, especially to the actual conduit, a little nice buff to chain lightning, and Boon's Catalyst basically stayed the same. I'm not sure the Strike of Stormhorn is gonna be any good still. Play with it was kind of weak, but it still needs more buffs. This ability for you to like shoot out a wave of these ball lightnings, not just one. That could probably make it better. Maybe they'll make an aspect for it sometime. Next, I have changes to Sustained Workers here. Potency's skill damage increased from 10 to 20% per stack to 15 to 25. And maximum increase from 100 to 200% to 150 to 250%. Next, we have changes to Wuxi Nakpa. Primary Spirit Hole potency increased from 100 to 200% to 200 300%. Also coming in patch 2.13, we have a new Goblin event. It's gonna last from March 4th to March 11th, and it's gonna introduce 6 new Goblin variants that we're gonna go over in a few seconds. It also comes with a reputation track, so as you progress through the reputation, you have a higher chance of seeing the more rare Goblins, which could have a resplendent spark. To begin the Goblin hunt, make sure to visit the Goblin statue in Central Kirvashad, and you can start earning the rewards. Now let's take a look at all the new Goblin variants that are coming. First one we got is Odious Ector. They primarily specialize in dropping crafting materials and even Abductide when killing them in Torment tiers. Next we got the Goblin Baron. He's the yellowish golden color, and he specializes in dropping huge amounts of gold. Next we got the Glittering Prim. He specializes in dropping gem fragments, runes, and when you find him in Torment tiers, he also has a chance to drop Undercity Tributes and Scattered Prisms. Next we got the Curious Merle. He specializes in dropping obols, and if you have a maxed out bag, he'll drop a stash that has obols inside him. Next we got the Gelatinous Cyrus. He is the new type of goblin that once you kill him, he splits into 2 goblins, and then once again he splits into 3. You have to kill the smallest one to get the reward. As for the rewards, they drop legendary items, gold, boss summon materials, and a chance for elixir. And now let's take a look at the most rare one. It's the fancy old Fedric, and he has a chance to drop in Resplendent Spark. Also note these goblins will stay forever in the game, but during the goblin hunt, you have a higher chance of running into them. Nice event and a cool addition to the game. Try to like hunt down the materials that you need. Should be interesting. I wish there was a way that you could actually control this with some kind of like a talent tree where you could specialize in what kind of goblins you could see, stuff like that. But that's wishful thinking. So we finally got some info of why we might never see a loot filter in D4. Let's take a look at what the dev said.
How about a loot filter?
Yeah, so the way that we think about loot in Diablo 4 right now is that we want you to basically use like every part of the animal. And what I mean by that is when you find loot, when you find legendaries, even if you don't plan to use them, we want you to be able to salvage them and for that to flow into the economy of how you're interacting with systems and like the blacksmith and the enchanter and all the different crafters. And so we want those drops to be valuable to you regardless of their context or their position. And we won't ever say never to a loot filter wholesale, and that's something that we want to hear people's feedback from the community on all the time, and I think that's really important. But right now, that's kind of how we're thinking about it.
So the key takeaway from this little interview is that Blizzard is listening to us, but we won't be getting no loot filter. And the problem here lies in with the way the game is structured. We have a smart loot, so basically there's not enough gear dropping from other classes, so that kind of alleviates that problem. And I think the second major issue is that it comes down to the engine, which you need like a whole overhaul to the engine for this system to function. And what I mean by this is like if you run a test on like if you do an Uber run, I did this before. If you keep leaving the loot on the floor, eventually it becomes like a little black hole that starts sucking the loot in, and it starts disappearing. And we had a few people that actually lost like mythics like that. So overall it seems like it's a engine problem, and they would have to like rebuild the whole engine for the loot filter to even work. So like the game can't handle too much loot on the floor. So I guess we'll be having loot filters in Diablo 5. We also got info about the next PTR. We should be having a campfire chat on March 7th at 11 a.m. PTSD, where they're going to be discussing all the details with Season 8, Patch 2.2, and the public test realm that's going to be opening up for that. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We should be having a lot of info dropping then. Next, we got some info about Season 8 being delayed by 2 weeks. And Season the Witchcraft is going to be extended by another 2 weeks. We got this info from GM Rod Ferguson, aka Mr. Milligan Tunnels, saying that they need to cook the Season 8 a little longer. So that's why we're going to have a delay. And he also leaked some kind of thing that we've been looking forward to seeing an old friend. So whatever that means. So for now, we got an extra 2 weeks of Season 7. We also got some more info from Rod Ferguson about the upcoming expansion, which is going to be dropping in 2026. And we should also expect the 2025 roadmap to be revealed on April 15th. So stay tuned for all that. If you guys made it this far, Be sure to like and subscribe for more Diablo 4 news. I appreciate all the support. Till next time.